What's up, everybody? It's your girl Invisible here, hoping who's inside of me shines through. And today we're taking it back. Taking it back. I bet you thought you'd never see Stan again, but we're on Henchman Story. Woohoo! And hopefully you can actually hear it now. Let's see. I'm playing around. You can. Cool. Yeah, it's our Friday stream. And I decided to do Henchman Story because it's been a minute. So we're gonna load. And I think this is the last one. Here's hoping. Oh, that makes sense if I space it out, doesn't it? Look at that. I just saw a bunch of scorpions and was just thought, ooh. Is that the right one? Is it? Looks like the right one. This is gonna be awkward if it's not the right one. Alright. I'm gonna jump right into it. Yeah, if this is your first time seeing Henchman Story, it's a visual novel. What would it be like to be a bad guy for a day?
Ugh. Huh?
Autoplay one. I'm supposed to be reading. I managed to open my eyes just enough to see my clock. It's an hour before my alarm is set to go off, and some jerk is knocking on my door. A whole hour of precious sacred sleep gone, taken before it's time. If I had the energy, I'd go rip whoever it is a new one. But since I don't, I just roll out of bed and waddle wearily towards the door.
Yeah. Just a second.
I throw in a t-shirt on my way there, and when I arrive at the door, I slam my fist on the control panel. I should have expected the beaming smile.
Morning, Stan! Gosh, it sure took you a while to get up.
Took a while. Dave, we don't have assembly for like 1,000 years. Why are you even here?
Actually, Stan, that's the thing. You don't have assembly today. Here, this was at your door.
Dave hands me a small note. I rub the sleep from my eyes as I read it.
Henchman number 065. In light of our administrative changes and our integration of the Henchcan program, you are scheduled to receive an in-depth review of your recent performance today. Arrive in room 243B no later than 8:30 a.m. Failure to comply will have dire consequences. Yikes, that seems a little over the top. Wait, if this was just posted here this morning, how did you know to come wake me up?
Oh, I didn't. Mine's not until tomorrow. But I figured there was a slight chance you might have an early review, so I just wanted to make sure you were ready anyway. Better safe than sorry, right?
Huh. Am I on the bad guy path? Here's the issue. I have two of these going. One of these is a commentary version, one of these is a no commentary version. And in the no commentary version, I am a complete and utter jerk. But in the commentary version, I'm a good guy. So, decisions. Decisions are difficult. Thanks for having my back, because I'm a good guy.
Yeah, for sure. Very, super thorough of you. Thanks for the heads up, man.
Hey, what else are supervisors / best buddies for?
Probably like a whole litany of things, but I'll assume that this is somewhere on the list. Anyway, I'd better get ready. Hold down the fort for me while I'm gone, alright?
Will do! Go get 'em, buddy!
As Dave leaves, I close the door in sigh and relief. That boy is just not all there. I worried. I can roll back.
Will do! Go get 'em, buddy!
As Dave leaves, I close the door in sigh and relief. That boy's just not all there. Handling him takes more energy than I've got this early in the day. I felt that energy. I felt that. Also, usually I'd be like voice acting and trying to read it like Stan, but it's too early in the morning, like Stan did. I look longingly at my bed. I probably have time to squeeze in a little more sleep, but since I'm already up, it's not worth the risk. May as well just go ahead and hit the showers. After showering, changing, and spending several long minutes trying to stave off a general sense of impending doom, I made my way to room 243B. While I've never been to that room specifically, the meeting's in, I'm familiar enough with the area. It's the layers administrative section, so unless you work for HR, you generally don't want to be there too often. As I round the final corner, I spot my destination just down the hallway with its door wide open.
Okay, Stan, you got this. No sass, no back talk, just get it over with.
How sassy do you have to be that you have to mentally tell yourself, don't be sassy? Well, this is fancier than I expected. Not that the bar is all that high. I mean, our break room couches hail from curbsides across America, so clearly this isn't Lord Bedlam's doing. I guess the giant scorpion on the wall makes that pretty obvious, not to mention the rule's sole occupant.
Henchman number 065. You're 3 minutes early. How unusually punctual of you.
Unusual? No, I'm Mr. Punctual. That's me. I just love being on time.
Not according to our records. Or your late departure from the scene of Wednesday's operation.
Oh, right. That thing. Thanks for the save, by the way. I wasn't looking forward to another beating from Miss Dynamo. I have a feeling she was gonna break something this time.
Think nothing of it. That child is like a barking dog. Loud, but stupid. Dealing with her was no trouble at all. So if you'd like to thank me, be on time from now on. Will you?
Sure thing. Wait, by from now on, do you mean at other meetings with you? Because I sort of thought this was going to be a one-time thing. I mean, why would you want to meet with me? I'm just...
Have a seat, Stanley.
Yes, ma'am.
He's in trouble. There are 2 chairs in front of Madame Scorpion's desk. I quickly take a seat in one of them. For her part, Scorpion stays standing, preferring to slowly stalk about the room. I really wish she'd stop. It's hard not to fidget with her looking at me like that.
Don't fret. This isn't about your punctuality. In fact, you're quite average in that regard. The henchmen here tend to be late in general. But you know that, don't you, Stanley? After all, you've been here for years, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. I'm what you might call a seasoned veteran. An experienced, loyal henchmaner. Henchmanee. Henchmanist?
Ooh.
So you are. And how many promotions have you earned in your long and illustrious career?
Technically, about, zero-ish?
Not ish, just 0. You have had 0 promotions.
Well, I mean, I've received some pretty good compliments every now and then. That's kind of the same thing, right?
No. No, it is not.
Oof. Oh, I'm supposed to be reading. I can't prevent the fidgeting at this point. Scorpion seems to notice. She stops pacing and leans back against the desk in front of me.
Oh, Stanley, don't be so nervous. You're not in trouble. That's why we're having this meeting in my office.
And where would we be having it if I were in trouble?
Somewhere where I could be more persuasive.
Oh, well, that sounds less fun. I think.
Certainly for you, Stanley. But then again, I have a feeling that you have quite the pain threshold.
What makes you say that?
Deductive reasoning. You've been a henchman in the Bedlam organization for over 5 years with no promotions, no arrests, and minimal injury leave. Barring promotion, the average henchman career is 8 months. Why do you think you've lasted so much longer?
5 years as a henchman? My guy. Get some life goals. I work smarter, not harder.
Well, life's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And that means you've got to pace yourself.
I have no use for vague metaphors, Stanley. Be specific.
Dang, there goes my...
Okay, what I mean is, the thing about being a henchman is, we're not really supposed to beat the superheroes, right?
It happens every now and then.
Yeah, but not often. And when it does, usually we've got some crazy advantage. You can kind of see it coming. A lot of guys don't get that, though. They're always trying to win. Me, I know my role. I know what I'm up against. So maybe sometimes when I'm lying on the ground, seeing stars, and I know that getting back up isn't going to do any good, I just stay down.
Some might call that laziness. Even weakness.
By some, do you mean you?
That depends on your reasoning.
I'd call it knowing my limits. I do what I can, and that's all I can do.
I squirm in my seat and avert my eyes. Was that really the best I could come up with?
Interesting. That's more astute than you realize.
It is?
Only a fool fights a battle they cannot win. Yet that's what people are told to do. As if grinding yourself to dust trying to do the impossible is some noble and sacred pursuit. Some call it fighting spirit, others might call it grit. Whatever the name, though, it's a fantasy. Turning a defeat into a total loss for honor's sake is the height of folly.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Just less eloquently.
Geez, she really slips into the all hope is dead thing quick. I bet her monologues are off the chart.
Whether you were going for it or stumbled into it face first doesn't matter. You've grasped the concept.
I guess. Stumbling just doesn't sound as cool.
That's true. Keeping up appearances is important too. But that's an advanced concept. One that I have already mastered, as you can see.
Not that she's wrong, but sometimes I wonder, does a supervillain get a huge ego after becoming a supervillain, or do people with huge egos just become supervillains more frequently than others? As I ponder that chicken or the egg paradox, Scorpion stands and once again begins stalking around the room. She didn't seem upset with my answer, so I guess the whole predator-prey vibe just comes to her naturally.
Here's the point, Stanley, and do keep this in mind. The Scorpion Group has been observing this organization for months now. We know everything about it, including you. And with that knowledge, you are the first henchman I chose to speak to. Not your supervisor or Bedlam's other acolytes. You.
And you kept me from getting flattened at that data center. Thanks again, by the way.
Yes, I did. As I said, I was protecting my investment, which includes you, Stanley. However small your contribution.
Crazy!
You see, Henchman is still in a closed beta, and that goes both ways. Not only are we selective with the organizations that can utilize the program, but the henchmen who can join it. To succeed on Henchman, contractors need a certain mindset, a set of patterns and behaviors that will let them thrive and solidify the program's ecosystem. Based on the data, you may have that mindset, Stanley. But I can't know for sure without reviewing your performance in person, so let's return to that subject, shall we? In fact, let's speak of a specific performance. 2 days ago, you were part of an operation. Your squad was left in the rear guard. Do you recall what happened?
No, I don't.
A very painful celebrity meet and greet.
Yes, I do. I do remember. Ha!
Yes. Shining Nova is quite the famous superhero, and you two met face to face.
More like face to helmet, but yeah, we got acquainted. Kind of.
It's not very satisfying, is it? To meet someone who hides themselves so completely.
It's even less satisfying to get tranquilized by them.
I imagine. Fighting someone is so much more intimate when you can see their eyes. Their hatred, their fear, their pain.
I'm, usually on the opposite end of that last part.
That's too bad. Feeling pain is well and good, but you can't really appreciate it until you've given it too. You're really missing out, Stanley. But back to the matter at hand. You were the final member of the rear guard to engage Shining Nova during that operation, and you did so alone, after your colleagues had all rushed in at once or fled.
When you put it like that, I sound pretty stupid.
You certainly didn't have the odds in your favor. In fact, we did an exact calculation of your chances of success in that scenario. They were 600,000 to 1.
And now I sound really stupid.
If your goal was to succeed. But you weren't trying to succeed, were you, Stanley? Not in the traditional sense. Why don't we review your moment-to-moment decisions during this encounter?
Scorpion strides over to her desk and presses a few keys on the fancy-looking keyboard that's resting on it. In response, the equally fancy holographic display sitting next to it comes to life. Okay, so this scene is going to tell me which character I'm playing as. Because when I was doing the no commentary version, I played it a lot smarter than I did playing the commentary version. So, if she says that I made 0 mistakes, then this is actually my bad guy route. And, I'm not really messing up the bad guy route. Haven't decided what I want yet. But if this is, I'm still not messing up the good guy route either. Like, this chapter actually has no consequence on either decision, I think. I think I'm chilling. But this will tell me which one I am. So. The display morphs into a miniature recreation of the research lab we raided on Wednesday. It's really exact. Too exact to be recreation. This had to be footage from somewhere. Once it's in place, Scorpion gestures to the footage.
So, Stanley, here you are. You were faced with an A-list superhero all by yourself. What did you do?
Dodge. I'm choosing not to read.
Well, I figured that if I didn't move, I was going to get blasted in the face, and everyone attacking at once had just failed pretty horribly. So I just kind of dove for cover.
That's sound reasoning. If unconventional for someone of your lowly rank.
Unconventional how? Seems like common sense.
Statistically, of course. Typical henchman reactions to a threat are to flail wildly in some pale imitation of attack or to flee in terror. Every now and then you may see a few try to avoid a specific attack, but it's rare for such an attempt to succeed. Based on the data, your actions and their outcome were somewhat remarkable.
I guess that makes sense when you think about it. Most of the heroes you meet have superhuman abilities and most henchmen don't. So even avoiding a single blow is difficult.
So, does this mean I have some kind of enhanced reflexes or something?
Oh, goodness no, Stanley. Just look at you.
Madam Scorpion advances the footage and I see myself diving desperately for cover. I look a bit like a fish jumping out of the water. There is no real coordination. I just kind of flop around.
Yeah, I guess I see your point.
I should hope so. You land with all the grace of a bag of yams.
Ooh!
I think the expression is a sack of potatoes.
Does it matter? Are potatoes more graceful than yams?
No, I guess they basically have the same amount of grace, as in none whatsoever.
And yet, despite your starch-like reflexes, you managed to avoid Shining Nova's blast. Because, fortunately for you, you think faster than either a yam or a potato.
What is this conversation? I almost remark about what a low bar that is when I suddenly remember that the potato pope, a supervillain whose henchmen were literally semi-sentient potatoes. Okay.
Sadly, quick thinking is sometimes no match for raw power.
To illustrate the point, Madam Scorpion lets the footage play once more, showing Shining Nova blowing my makeshift cover to smithereens and slowly advancing on my position.
Trust me, you're talking to the man who knows. Like, intimately.
I should hope so. You ran headfirst into that fact right here.
I grimace as I watch the hologram reenact both my futile attempt at offense and the swift, highly painful retribution that followed.
Ah, there's your potato impression again. Goodness, look at you fly.
Yeah, Shining Nova would probably qualify for the Olympics in the henchman toss.
And yet you still weren't unconscious. I'll say this for you, Stanley. You know how to take a punch.
It's a finely honed skill.
I'll bet. and a statistical rarity.
Really?
Really. By simply keeping yourself from passing out, you managed to delay Shining Nova for that much longer. And as it turns out, Lord Bedlam needed every second to complete his mission. That's part of your value, Stanley. Based on your DNA samples, you don't have any predisposition towards superhuman abilities. Yet you seem to be able to endure more punishment than your colleagues.
I guess I do. But hey, just out of curiosity, where exactly did you get those DNA samples?
That's a secret.
She pulled them off of him when he was knocked out. That is definitely the answer. Then again, it would be a pretty lame power. What would they call me? Punching bag man, the human meat shield, power
But
man?
let's get back to Wednesday's operation. If you look at the footage right here, you'll notice something interesting about where you landed. What might that be?
Even though I know what she's talking about, I look at the footage anyway.
I'm pretty close to a door, and the engineers that we took captive aren't far either.
Correct. Though you didn't realize that second bit so quickly at the time. In fact, you don't notice until this moment right here.
She advances the footage until hologram me turns his head in the direction of the hostages.
And then what precisely did you do with this newly acquired knowledge?
I ran for the door.
And that seemed like the best
We're on
option
the good
at
guy
the
route.
time.
It seemed like the only option, honestly.
Really? At no point, even after you noticed your proximity to those captives, did you consider a different approach? You didn't even for a moment think that perhaps you could use their presence to your advantage?
Ah, crap. Somehow I don't think being honest is the right call here. Looking out for the safety of the hostages isn't very villainous after all.
No, I didn't really think about that. I was kind of preoccupied by all the high-tech projectiles that could be fired at me. They were my most immediate concern, you know?
For being so focused on them, you did a rather poor job of getting out of their way.
Story of my life. My biography's gonna be called Stan. I couldn't get out of the way. It also didn't help that my thrusters weren't exactly at full capacity by that point.
Then it was quite the blunder, wasn't it? If you weren't feeling up to another round with Shining Nova, you should have found an alternative.
Like what? Nova didn't seem too receptive to small talk.
Like the hostages, Stanley. Why do you think I brought them up? Next time, take advantage of your surroundings. Hostages are a tool to be used, and an effective one. Understand this. You will be at a severe disadvantage against any foe you encounter. You must utilize every tool you can and show no mercy in order to succeed.
Use all the tools, hold the mercy. I'm on it, boss.
For a moment, Madam Scorpion just stares at me. It takes all my concentration not to break eye contact. Somehow, I think she knows I'm full of nothing.
See that you are. It's for your own safety. We wouldn't want anything unfortunate happening to you out there, would we? And we certainly wouldn't want to demonstrate what happens to subordinates that fail to learn from their mistakes. Now then, I think we've seen enough of this, haven't we?
She finally turns off the hologram. This is the first time I've watched myself get humiliated by a superhero, and I have to say, I could live without the experience.
So, Stanley, after reviewing the footage, would you say this is a normal operation for you?
No, definitely more exciting.
And after our review, would you say that you performed better or worse than your peers in this scenario?
Well, better, but...
And how were you compensated for this operation compared to normal? How about compared to your peers? I'll answer for you. The same on both counts. But that's how it works, isn't it? You're paid a salary, and that doesn't change when things are harder or your performance is better. No, you can't earn more without a review, like this one, and they don't come often. But dear Stanley, what if I told you that you can?
You mean hench can?
Exactly. I admit, I wasn't entirely sold on the name until we focus tested it with a few slogans. But it really works, doesn't it?
I guess so. Where are you going with this?
I'm getting to that, Stanley. But first, why don't we turn this discussion inward? What drives you, Stanley?
What do you mean?
I mean that as a henchman for Lord Bedlam, who or what do you serve before all else?
So, if this were a stream where people were watching, then I'd have to, say, what would you want to do? But because it's a stream for myself, the answer is, what kind of villain? Do I want to be a villain? Do I want to be a good guy? Do I care? It's definitely not Lord Bedlam, that's for sure. I'm not going to get with you anyway, but I know this is the answer you want. Madam Scorpion's already proven that she's not particularly susceptible to stuff, so I guess I may as well just be honest.
To tell the truth, I'm looking out for myself. Not that I won't do my job or anything, but at the end of the day, I've got to take care of things for me. That's just how it is.
I don't get an immediate response. Instead, Scorpion takes a moment to study me as if looking me over for the first time. Jeez, her stare is unnerving.
Correct. Well said, Stanley.
I wasn't aware this was a question you could get right or wrong.
Of course it is. It's simply a matter of being honest with yourself. No matter what you had said, your actions would already have spoken for you. During your everyday tasks, you trend right inside the average by every available metric. You do not perform better or worse than any of your fellow henchmen. You are perfectly commonplace. But when you are personally at risk during operations, you are suddenly head and shoulders above the pack, despite having no powers or exceptional athletic background. In other words, Stanley, you are performing at the optimal level for your own self-interests. You have found exactly how to do your job and collect your paycheck with as little pain and effort as possible.
That's my man Stanley right there! Wow! This is actually a really good thing for him. This is very little pain. This is how you stay a henchman for 5 years. This energy right here. This is how you survive as a henchman for longer than 8 months.
Yeah, I can't really deny it, but that's just how you treat a job, isn't it? You clock in, you do what you have to do, and you clock out.
I suppose many do. But this is something that extends well beyond one's occupation. Why should you try to perform any better when you have no incentive to do so? Should you throw yourself at superheroes based on the distant dream of a promotion? Of course not. No. You have learned that the optimal path forward within this system is to intentionally perform below your potential. So that's what you do. And make no mistake, you have potential, Stanley.
Oh, wow.
All you need to bring it out is a system that rewards you appropriately. And this, Stanley, is what I have been getting at. Henchcan is that system. With Henchcan, you would be rewarded based on the work you do. If you accept more gigs or more difficult ones, then you earn more. If you perform better on a gig, you earn more. It's simple. Take Wednesday's operation, for example. You would have been paid better than your peers for that, and certainly better than your supervisor.
She's uncomfortably close now. I can't lean further back without tipping my chair over, and for whatever reason, I can't bring myself to break eye contact. You ever looked over the edge of a cliff and just had this weird urge to jump, even though you know it would kill you? Looking into Madame Scorpion's eyes is like looking down that cliff.
How would that make you feel?
Good, I guess. But, I work for Lord Bedlam.
And? He employs you, but should he own you? Your days could be his, and your nights.
She leans closer and places her hand on my shoulder. I feel myself go rigid.
Could be mine.
You mean henchcans, right? Your program?
Why, of course, Stanley. That's what we've been talking about this whole time.
Sure.
You're exactly the kind of candidate we need. You'd be just perfect for it.
Sure. Before my brain can reboot and offer a response, Scorpion removes her hand and turns back to her desk. Only now that she's let go do I realize how sore my shoulder feels.
And as it happens, I know of a gig tonight that would be an excellent trial run. You should sign up.
Whoa. I've never not done game night before. Whoa. Have I not done game night before? Huh. This is a legitimate question. I know she wants me to say sure, why not? But it's game night.
Sorry. Tonight's not really a great time for me. I've got plans. Well, everyone does. Friday is game night around here.
Game night? You mean to tell me this whole organization shuts down to throw dice like a bunch of doddering grandmothers at a mahjong club?
Crazy.
No, not exactly. No one plays mahjong. Oh, wait, Squad 12 does. Never mind. Most of us don't play mahjong.
Well, you have certainly filled me with confidence. What purpose does it serve?
For fun, it helps us all unwind. Lord Bedlam said something about team building, too. I can't remember how it went. Besides, it happens after hours.
Stanley, one of the things you'll need to learn is that there are no after hours. There are simply hours, and you should strive to fill all of them productively. That is the only way to succeed in the modern world.
Right. Fill hours productively. Got it. I'll get right on that. After tonight.
After all, I don't want to let my party down by canceling SNS at the last minute. Besides, I already invited Kate. Probably would be a great impression for her if I did that. Jeez. And Dave invited himself too. Ooh, if I canceled, I'd never hear the end of it. Every day I'd have to hear about the SNS session I canceled. It'd probably cost me a raise too, if I ever get around to qualifying for one. Of course, that look Madam Scorpion is giving me is a lot more dangerous than anything Dave could muster. Maybe I should take some time to reconsider?
Well, at least download the app and take a look. Perhaps then you might come to your senses. You'll find a QR code on the bulletin boards in the break rooms or at the entrance of the cafeteria. Tonight's gig should be immediately available to you. Take a few hours to collect some more information and think it over. But not too long. You'd hate to disappoint me.
I'm sure I would.
Oh, no, that wasn't a question. You'd really hate it from the bottom of your heart. I'd make certain of it. Then, dear Stanley, you'd see where I have my other meetings.
You mean the ones where people are in trouble?
Precisely. That is all, number 065. You are dismissed.
Right. Got it. Thanks.
Jeez, lady. Jeez. By the time I've slipped from my seat, Madam Scorpion is behind her desk. Her attention turned to something else entirely. So I silently head for the door and step outside as quickly as I can without seeming like I'm in a panic. Or that's the goal. Not sure. It's not until I rounded the first corner that I finally let myself sigh in relief. Thank God that's over. I feel like I just went through an emotional spin cycle. Still, I didn't do so bad considering I was being interviewed by a possibly psychotic tyrant/tech mogul. Is that what dealing with a bona fide genuine article supervillain is like? Do you spend every second wondering if you're going to be eviscerated? I take my time heading to my post for the day, and it's only when I get halfway there that I realize the craziest thing about that woman. Despite my fears of being dismembered, weirdly enough, it seemed like we were speaking candidly towards the end there. I feel like that should mean something. I'm just not sure what. My first shift passes by quickly. Today my squad is working in the warehouse, which is like the opposite of guard duty. I'm less likely to be bored in my mind, but my body can't stand putting in actual effort. Luckily, I don't think Dave knows how to read our inventory system, so I just need to look like I'm working hard. The key is to let him see me lift a few things early and then stay out of sight as much as possible. Man, Stan really does know how to play the system. All that time and energy I've put into avoiding work has given me quite the appetite. And by the time we head to the cafeteria, I'm absolutely starved.
Ah, shit.
Yeah,
Oh, what's wrong, buddy?
I forgot that Chef Antonio and I are at war.
yeah.
Metaphorically, I mean. Don't worry, it's not actual war.
It might as well.
Oh, good. I was about to say.
No way, dude. Come on.
I know you were, Dave. Anyway, I think I'm just going to skip the line and get a table.
So, would that be a metaphorical retreat?
I prefer to think of it as guerrilla tactics. If he asks where I am, tell him I'm in medical.
Doing my best to avoid all this all sight. Can't even read this sentence. This is crazy. Doing my best to avoid the all-seeing eye of Chef Antonio. I find an empty table and have a seat. I drum my fingers on the table and try to think of anything but the food everyone else is eating. Oh, speaking of, while Stan is doing his best to be avoided, I don't know if you've heard this today, but you are visible to somebody, even when you feel like you're invisible, like Stan trying to avoid Chef Antonio. You are still visible. Somebody sees you. Sadly, my stomach has other plans and it lets out a loud growl. You like that? See how that was
You
purposely?
filthy traitor.
Oh no.
That'll learn it. Show that organ who's boss.
I look up to see Kate taking a seat across from me, tray in hand.
Damn right, you've got to keep them in line. Sometimes instead of doing cardio, I just berate my heart for an hour.
What do you mean sometimes? Wouldn't that imply that you do cardio in the first place?
For your information, routinely fleeing colorfully attired walls of muscle is a wonderful fitness routine. It's like Pilates for masochists.
I feel like you don't know what Pilates are.
All I know is that they usually involve a gym and yoga pants, and I can't see myself inside either of those things.
Technically, you're not wrong, and yet you're definitely not right.
Kate's eyes.
Still haven't made
ooh,
peace with the chef, huh?
words.
Nope, this is grade A eternal nemesis level conflict. We're destined to battle until the end of time.
Yeah, well, I don't think that treacherous stomach of yours can last that long. Seriously, just have some of my...
Well, gosh, Stan, you didn't tell me you made a new friend.
Before Kate has time to react, Dave has set his tray down at the table and extended a hand in greeting.
It's a real pleasure to meet you, miss. I'm Dave, squad supervisor.
Good to meet you.
Kate extends her hand and receives a firm shake in turn. Once Dave lets go, she points to the name tag that's still on her uniform.
I'm Kate.
She's the rookie I guided around yesterday. Just happens that we have the same lunch block, so... Wait, are you still wearing that name tag?
Yeah. Is that a problem?
No, it's just that I don't think you have to anymore. That was a one-day thing.
I guess not, but I'm still new, so it's easier for people to learn my name this way.
Yeah, she's just being considerate, Stan. Gosh, you millennials have no manners.
Crazy.
Dude, you're a millennial, and I'm pretty sure I'm older than you. Oh god, I'm older than you.
It's this social media. That's what my papa says. Everyone has to clap back or back clap or post little emojis of clapping.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna clap, do it to my face, you cowards. Am I right?
How dare you encourage this?
Encourage what? A blossoming friendship?
More like an unholy alliance. I think I was safer with Scorpion.
You met Madam Scorpion? When?
This morning, Stan had his big review. I made sure he was up extra early to prepare, though, so I'm sure he aced it. Right, buddy?
Let's not get carried away. I survived.
Well, don't sell yourself short, because that's not always the case. Believe me. So, now that you've seen her face to face, what do you think?
That top one, I wasn't ready for it. This is.
Then I'd better finish off that will I've been putting off writing. Any interest in a TV stand that's actually a cardboard box? Mine might be free soon. You know, after Scorpion murders me.
Why? You didn't piss her off, did you?
No, she just gives off this sense of impending dread is all. Even when she's talking about something completely normal, I feel like some horrible act of violence could happen any second.
Yeah, that sounds like Madam Scorpion.
Well, if something like that were to happen, surely you'd have done something to instigate it, Stan. She's our superior now, after all.
This guy.
What does that have to do with it? Just because she's your pseudo-boss now doesn't mean everything she does is deserved.
Sure it does. If I ever have to punish a member of my squad, it's only because they deserve it. That's just how it is.
Bro.
But that's assuming...
You're right, Dave. No supervillain would ever punish or execute their subordinates without them really deserving it. That's why they're supervillains.
Exactly! Great explanation, Stan. Gosh, I might have to mark that down in your report.
Kate opens her mouth to argue further, but thinks better of it. Says she furrows her brow and stares off into space for a moment, lost in thought. Smart girl. I'm a little surprised she spoke like that about Scorpion, but then she didn't strike me as having much zealotry. She's a lot more practical about this job than someone like Dave, probably why we already get along.
Look, just be careful around her. I'm serious about what I said. Not everyone that walks into a room with Madam Scorpion walks back out.
Why do you say that?
Because it's the truth. At least I think. Look, this is just a rumor, but the word is that before she founded the Scorpion Group, she was basically the apex predator of the assassin world. That's how she got the money for it. She doesn't do it anymore, I don't think. I mean, that's the rumor, but you know what they say about old habits.
You can't teach them new tricks.
Sure, but mostly they just die hard. And for Scorpion, people die a lot more easily.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. My old habits die hard too. And sometimes I think I'm back on the farm. Today in the warehouse, I called the crates hay bales by accident, and this other time I thought someone's pet parakeet was a chicken.
So what, you tried to take its eggs or something?
No, my sister collected the eggs. My job was to butcher the ones we ate.
That sounds pleasant. Hey, wait a second!
Oh my god, you didn't!
Well, it looks like we finally solved the mystery of what happened to Lord Birdlum.
It was an accident! It was just old habits, like you said!
I think that crosses the line from habit to disorder. Although, now that I think about it, that's a pretty good example for this situation. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, you're welcome, Kate. Just a little squad supervisor nugget of wisdom for you. I've got loads of them.
I bet you do.
Oh,
So, basically, Stan, be careful around Madam Scorpion, or you could end up like Lord Birdlum.
Delicious?
Dead, Stan. Very dead. But luckily, the most dangerous thing that you'll encounter tonight are some bad dice rolls, right?
True, though they'll be more dangerous for everyone else since... Wait, does this mean you're playing?
It may, if your party has room for a paladin. You said they needed a tank, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Just a normal paladin, though? Anytime someone plays a paladin around here, they're usually a dark paladin instead. 'Cause, you know.
Oh, right. I mean, of course it's a dark paladin. I just figured that was obvious. Wasn't that obvious?
Neat! You invited Kate to our SNS game too! That's great! It'll be a great chance to do some team building.
You're playing too. Stan didn't tell me that. What class are you gonna be?
I'm a cleric, so I'll be the team's magical doctor
I didn't know
supervisor.
he'd stay a cleric.
Remember,
I messed
Dave,
up.
I said being a cleric is like being a supervisor. I didn't say that being a cleric is being a supervisor.
I have to look
What's
at
the
this.
difference?
It's like, what if that stuff on your plate was like food, but wasn't food? Could you still eat it?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Yeah, Stan, why not? If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's a magical doctor supervisor, isn't it?
Oh. I'm not gonna read that. I'm just gonna laugh. Kate and Dave continue to discuss plans for tonight's session, but I tuned it out. I've forgotten something important. Oh, goodness. The gig. I got so into all this SNS that I forgot all about it.
So, not to change topics or to kill anyone's enthusiasm, but I may have gotten ahead of myself about tonight's session.
What's wrong? Is a dark paladin not villainous enough? Do I need to be a demon paladin or something?
No, there's definitely enough villainy. It's just that something else happened in that review. The thing is, Madam Scorpion asked me to sign up for a henchman gig. Tonight.
Wow, that's great, Stan! As your squad supervisor, I'm proud of the recognition you're getting for your hard work, and the recognition your squad and squad leadership will also get for helping
Squad
you work
leadership.
so hard.
Sure. Thanks, man.
Okay, that should be expected. The reality is more along the lines of pensive silence and a hint of concern.
Did she say what the job was?
No. There's a few more details in the app. Here.
I pull out my phone, open the Hitchcan app, and hand it to her. She won't find much more information there. Just a general description of the job, the pay, the time, and various ratings for different parts of the job. Things like the general difficulty level, expectations regarding the use of lethal force, civilian presence, and the possibility of superhero intervention are all given different ratings out of 5 stars. No location is given. Meeting coordinates are sent through a separate encrypted message shortly before the job for you to decide to accept. More information would be nice, but I can't say I expected much more. Kate frowns as she scrolls through the data and hands me back my phone.
Seems like a good payday. Could be risky, though. This is an entry level from the looks of it.
That's the idea, I think. It's meant to be some kind of test.
That's a tough call. On the one hand, this is Madame Scorpion, and she's not used to being refused. On the other hand, if it's meant to be a test, then it will definitely be dangerous. Plus, you'd totally be missing out on our awesome Spells and Swords adventure. So, if I were you, I'd take some time to think about it. I won't blame you either way, but if you had to decide right now, which one would you pick?
Obviously, I want to hang out with you, Kate. You're doing the game.
Well, I do love my free time, and I can't say I love danger. So right now, I guess I'm leaning towards game night.
There's that Bedlam spirit, Stan! I knew you wouldn't abandon the squad.
Thanks, but don't go overboard, all right? It's an imaginary adventure played out with dice and stat sheets, Dave, not a battlefield.
No, I thought these games could get pretty intense.
They can.
Well, last campaign we did have a close call with a liter of soda and some handcrafted dice imported from Latvia. That was a tense moment, let me tell you. It was like our version of the Cuban Missile Crisis, but with less nuclear warheads and more corn syrup.
Sounds harrowing. I don't know, you might be safer on Madame Scorpion's wild mystery adventure.
That's true. I haven't decided anything for sure yet, so maybe I'd better think about this some more.
Okay. I'd be really glad if you could join us for game night. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yes, but with just a dash of extra humility. Maybe a pinch of praise for my wisdom and empathy.
Yeah, well, I'm not a salad bar. You get the toppings that come with the gratitude, no substitutions, and you can forget any notion of begging. But really, it'll be nice to hang out. I'm looking forward to it.
Likewise. I'm still a little worried about Scorpion, though.
I would be too, honestly. So, while I'd definitely be disappointed, if you feel like you have to cancel to save your career or extremities, I get it.
Thanks, Rookie. Whatever I end up deciding, you guys will be the first to know.
And how are you going to let me know exactly? Carrier pigeon? Or do you guys send messenger rats through the walls around here?
Oh, right. We never exchanged numbers, did we? 1 second.
After fumbling with a few pouches, I remember which one holds my phone, and we exchange contact information. Dave insists on doing so as well, which doesn't seem entirely appropriate, but that's Dave. That might be a good biography title for him. Not entirely appropriate. Maybe the whole Lord Bedlam operation as a whole. Gotta hang on to that one.
There we go. That'll be easier. Though, I admit, I was sort of looking forward to some kind of trained animal messenger.
Honestly, they might be more reliable. The reception in a secret mountain base isn't great. Big shock, I know.
The rest of lunch is filled with small talk, nothing groundbreaking, but it's oddly relaxing. Kate's better at redirecting Dave's enthusiasm, and he only mentions that he's a squad supervisor like 3 or 4 more times. My previous worries about his addition to the Spells and Swords session are nullified, with Kate around to tame him. It could actually turn out well, or dare I say it, fun. That is, if I decide to go to it. I'll see where my head is at in a few hours. Regardless of my current feelings, Kate's right. This is a decision that I need to think about very carefully. I've already made my decision. I don't know why you need to think about it. As the day drags into the late afternoon, I return to my room to change into a spare uniform and freshen up. Neither game night nor the side gig feel like the right venue for that sweaty warehouse day aroma. Maybe I should invest in some cologne. Between the sweat and getting thrown into a dumpster, I've had a lot of smells to cover up lately. As I finished buckling up my uniform, I grabbed my phone from where I left it on the bed. Frowning, I opened the Henchcan app, navigate to the gig Madam Scorpion had mentioned, and stare. This is it. I've given myself all day to think about it. What should I do? Unwind with some SNS at game night, or take this Hitchcan gig and go earn some extra money? It's really not a question. I mean, like, we'll save it for just in case, you know? We'll save it for just in case. Was it this one? I think it was this one. Eek! Hold on. Was it this one? It's crazy that I don't have this memorized. The last time I played this... Okay, February 9th. Okay, so yep, it's this one. Here we go. Alright. We're going to game night. I closed the app and opened my contacts. Extra money would be nice, but Scorpion said it herself. I've gotten this far by taking just the right amount of risk. Maybe this Henchcan thing of hers is the future, but right now I get my check from Lord Bedlam, whether I take that risk or not. Besides, I told Kate that I was leaning towards game night, and I don't want to pull the rug out from under her. Inviting her to join the group, saying that it was still on, and then backtracking at the last minute wouldn't be a good look. Not to mention Dave's reaction. I'd have been hearing about it for months. He's pretty rigid when it comes to the chain of command and hierarchy, but he's also big on keeping promises. It's that kind of old-fashioned farm boy morality you'd expect out of a guy like that. So while he'd say that I was right to defer to Scorpion's suggestion as my superior, his passive-aggressive vengeance would be unending. I opened Kate's message page on my phone and tell her that game night is on. By the time I text Dave, she's already replied. Who knew there were so many gifs involving confetti? I smile and send a celebratory gif of my own. We exchange a few more as I text the rest of the group and do my best to navigate Dave's jumbled, punctuation-free expressions of enthusiasm. Well, better get ready. Let's see, my SNS bag should be somewhere in my closet. I figured. Yay! Issue 5! Yay! We're gonna hit the save button. We are now on issue 5. Look at Dave, he's so cute. And we're gonna go home. So yeah, not as long as my usual Twitch streams are, but we're breaking back into it. Stan is back. Stan is making decisions, and he has to choose between being a good guy, a bad guy, a henchman, a trash can dummy. I mean, he's just got so many decisions. And you can too. If you ever choose to watch me while I play this game, I will give you choices. You can make decisions. I'm just telling you right now, I'm leaning towards Kate. So, these are decisions that I'm making. But if you come in and want a Scorpion, it's up to you. I'm trying to think. I don't really have any, announcements. That's the word I'm looking for. So, without further ado, we're just gonna get up in my outro, you know what I'm saying? We're just gonna get into it. So, thank you so much for watching the Unseen Gamer Rise. This has been Invisyble playing Henchman Story, reminding you to stay visible. You all have a wonderful weekend and goodbye!